Located, and seven marine protected area networks were established for habitat conservation and fishery management. Under the Enhanced National Greening Program, approximately 5.5 million seedlings were produced, and 42,000 hectares of plantations were established, with 30 million seedlings of various commodities nationwide. The DENR also continues to expand and deepen our engagement with our different stakeholders for the department's policy reform agenda, systems and collaboration mechanisms, and shared programs, actions, and plans. For the last few months, we prioritize collaboration with national government agencies such as the DOJ, DOT, DILG, DOF, DFA, DOE, and DOLE. We continue to implement the Extended Producer Responsibility Act of 2022 that aims to establish EPR programs for plastic waste reduction, recovery, and diversion. We recently released the implementing rules and regulations, and plans are underway to scale up waste reduction, recovery, and recycling, and the development of environmentally friendly products that will catalyze circular economy approaches, reduce plastic production. The DENR also continues to address emerging food security issues and create green jobs. We submitted recommendations to existing policies to ensure water security and resilience in high water stressed areas and address emerging food security issues. We revised the repartenurial agreement for salt farmers and producers from the previous foreshore lease agreement to a salt production sharing agreement in order to catalyze salt production by decreasing the cost of foreshore usage by the salt farmers. For its first program under this arrangement, the department executed a memorandum of agreement with the province of Pangasinan, and it is estimated that more than 200 displaced salt farmers will benefit from it. We employed 11,670 of our countrymen in reforestation programs, assisted people's organizations through biodiversity-friendly enterprises, and provided tenurial security to 25,547 beneficiaries through residential and agricultural patents. We intensified enforcement of environmental laws and improved compliance and monitoring through digital and satellite data tools such as the Lawin system, drone technology, chainsaw registration system, and forest fire danger rating system, to name a few. These help us reduce illegal logging hotspots, gather data from air quality monitoring stations, maintain water bodies within water quality standards, manage solid waste through waste diversion, and hire 2,365 estero and river rangers and Boracay environmental Lawin patrollers. We expanded technical cooperation and advanced international cooperation for the Philippine Development Agenda to access financing, knowledge, and technology transfer. The DENR was designated head of the Philippine delegation to three major conferences in 2022: the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Brisbane, the United Nations Conference on Climate Change in Egypt, and the UN Biodiversity Conference in Montreal. We have joined other countries, led by the UK and France, in the coalitions to prepare for carbon and biodiversity credits markets and the transition to the blue and green economies. The Philippines, through the DENR, has been invited by the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction to host the 2024 Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, the largest Asia Pacific gathering of dignitaries from government, experts, and decision makers in the field of disaster risk reduction. This invitation from the UN cements the Philippines' role in the region as a leader in enhanced action and cooperation for disaster and climate resilience. In recognition of the country's biodiversity protection work, the Philippines is now being seriously considered as the host for the 2026 UN Biodiversity Conference. In the words of Secretary Antonia Loizaga, we have tremendous opportunity ahead of us, and I hope that inspires us all to harness our expertise perform our duties with utmost excellence, and support one another. I am honored by your trust and excited about the future of the DENR and what we can achieve together.
Good morning, everyone. May we request all of you to please settle down, take your seats, and welcome to the DNR celebration of World Environment Day. So before we begin, we would like to request the Honorable Secretary of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to please join us here at the presidential table together with our speakers. May we request Mr. Shimoda Shigeru, President of Marubeni, Philippines. Please join us, sir. Mr. Horia Adrian, President and CEO of Holcim Philippines. Mr. Vince Dison, Chief Regulatory Officer of Prime Infra. Mr. Bien Mateo, Senior Vice President for Operations, SM Supermalls. Mr. Jimmy Lu, Project Manager, San Miguel Corporation. Mr. Tulsi Das Reyes, President, DMCI Mining. We're also expecting Ms. Nanette Medvedpo from Plastic Credit Exchange. Ms. Patrick Jane Duran, Head of Mining, Makilala Mining. Please join us here. Ms. Judy Rolla, Head of Information Management, Makilala Mining. And Mr. John Vincent Mercado, Senior Vice President, Best Incorporated. We'd also like to greet our guests, the DNR officials, our undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, directors, and our friends from the media.
mundo.
Good morning to everyone, and happiest World Environmental Day wishes to all of you. This is a long celebration, it's month long, so we hope that you'll bear with us and stick with us as we celebrate the environment in the Philippines. I'd like to credit one of our environmental heroes for that wonderful video, Attorney Antonio Oposa, who many of you know has been working for the environment for many decades, and he very graciously shared that video with all of us. Allow me today to first welcome our colleagues at the DNR, but also our very, very distinguished partners. This is a day where we want to acknowledge how we are finding new ways to work with our partnerships, because in fact, the complexity of our problems really has to be addressed by a whole of society and whole of government approach. Good morning to Mr. Sigero of Marubeni, Gian of Holcim, Mr. Vince Dishon from Mr. Bien Mateo of SM Malls and the whole team from SM here, Mr. Jimmy Lu from San Miguel Corporation, and of course, Das Tulsi Reyes of the MCI, and our representatives from Makilala Mining, Engineer Jane Duran and Judy Rola from Makilala Mining. So thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to begin my message today by paraphrasing three statements from the President in his first State of the Nation address. The first statement is, there is no question that the preservation of the environment is the preservation of life. Secondly, those who extract our natural resources must follow the law. And thirdly, if we cannot mitigate climate change, all our plans for the economy, all our plans for the future will be for naught. Well, we are aware that the Philippines has made some significant progress in the areas of environmental protection, disaster risk reduction, and climate action, as well as whole of society engagement. It's undeniable as well that we remain at the top of the World Risk Index and at the top of many listings of countries most vulnerable to multiple hazards, including those from the impacts of climate change. To these ends, this administration's agenda, which is articulated in the Philippine Development Plan, is focused on pursuing a green and blue economy and establishing livable and sustainable communities. Our task then at the Department of Environment and Natural Resources is clear. To first, fulfill our mandate to conserve, protect, manage, restore, and regenerate our country's environment and natural resources. And secondly, manage risk and build resilience using a ridge-to-reef approach and an ecosystems-based approach. These two tasks necessitate the following: a comprehensive disaster and climate risk management approach and a strategic multi-stakeholder partnership for evidence-informed, inclusive, and adaptive governance. Comprehensive disaster and climate risk management is an approach defined by the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, that it applies a systems lens to the complexity of risk and purposively strengthens synergies between disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. This approach recognizes a full range of hazards, natural, man-made, and those, in fact, that can be projected from short, medium, and long-term climate scenarios. What this means, therefore, is that the department needs to keep our eyes on and anticipate not just the possible future, but the plausible future. We are edging closer to the 1.5-degree Paris threshold today. There may already be ecosystems that will never recover and species that will be compelled to change in order to survive and adapt. Or we may lose these species entirely. Our new lens allows for calibration of preservation, rehabilitation, and regeneration given the dynamic and interdependent nature of the exposure of our ecosystems, communities, and sectors. It also recognizes vulnerability that arises from the intersection of the physical, biological, and social geographies that we are located in. We're striving to build a shared understanding of risk through science and technology, capacity building for informed decision making, and transdisciplinary research, policies, programs, and actions. And this will only work if we engage substantively with partners inside and outside of government. I believe this approach will be key to achieving the results from our unity of efforts and our unity of purpose, with our goals set towards achieving inclusive and resilient development. World Environment Day is celebrated to remind all of us that the economy does not own the environment. In fact, there could never be a sustainable economy without the ecosystem services we derive from nature. These include the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we grow on our rich soils, fish from our seas, and the minerals we use to construct our homes, meet our technology needs, and produce energy. On our part, the DNR's job is of such magnitude and complexity that we cannot do it alone. We're constantly balancing what our country needs today at the local and national scales, the global demands for our resources, and what future generations will need for tomorrow. To do this, we must work across government and multiple sectors with other departments and non-traditional partners like corporations, advocates, and communities as we strive to listen to voices in the solid waste, mining, water, energy, land, forest, and biodiversity communities. In this volatile, complex, and uncertain world, we need to build a constituency for inclusive, resilient, and nature-positive development through continuous consultation and informed action. We believe that these partnerships are key to delivering our commitments and in the work that we want to do at the department. Today, we're here to celebrate and share just some of these strategic partnerships as they collaborate with us through investing in ecosystem integrity, building resilient communities, and environmental protection as a whole. These partnerships fill major gaps in our human, material, financial, scientific, and technological resources. Most importantly, they can facilitate timely access to needed innovation. As some of you know, the DNR conducted its first round of multi-stakeholder fora in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao some months ago. We plan to hold and continue to hold smaller and focused group consultations throughout the year. As we do this, the transparency and dialogue we promote allows us to make the implementation of our laws more responsive to conditions on the ground. To ensure that we are able to access sectoral expertise, we've also created multi-sectoral advisory councils composed of experts from various fields. The amendments to our legislation are then being continuously studied for updating and revision. I trust that these combined efforts will lead to three major differences in DNR's service. The first is coherence, both vertical from national to local and horizontal across different sectors and departments. Secondly, convergence in the optimization of human, financial, technical resources. And lastly, synergies across public and non-government sectors, and that these will all transform our department into one that is fit for our complex purpose. When I first became secretary, I enjoined everyone at the DNR to become part of a mission that represents an ethical stewardship that works across silos to uphold shared environmental values and deliver public service based on scientific and technical excellence. On this World Environment Day, I wish to give this platform as well to our partners who will expound on the ways they are working with us and what these new ways of work mean to them. We will hear from each of them one by one, And I hope that you will find that this will be a meaningful discourse among government and our different partners across non-traditional sectors in the society. It's my hope that if we work together, we can truly move forward and chart a new, evidence-informed, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development trajectory for our country. Thank you very much. I'd like to acknowledge as well the presence of Mr. John Vincent Mercado of BEST, who's also a partner of our NCR in our solid waste management campaign. So if I may now call our first speaker, may I call Mr. Shimoda Shigeru to please share your partnership message.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. I'm Shimoda from Marubeni, Philippines Corporation. Let me introduce quickly about our company. Next, please. We Marubeni Corporation is one of the largest trading and investment house in Japan. And we do, as you see from the video screens, we do many things, including coffee, LNG, copper mines, and aircraft lease, agris, many things, including forestry development, afforestation project in Indonesia and Western Australia. Next, please. Marubeni was established in 1858, so 160 years ago. And in the Philippines, we started a backup fiber export to Japan in 1909, so about 13 years ago. Next, please. Then we Marubeni, as I quickly mentioned about our forestry in Indonesia and Western Australia, we Marubeni try to find what we can do in the forestry in this country, in the Philippines. So we found the large-scale logging has reduced forest cover in the Philippines. Of course, logging operation before brought a benefit to this country, I know, but very unfortunately, not many replanting was done in this country. We found forests which accounted for 70% in the 1900s have fallen to 23% in 2020. Next, please. Global carbon dioxide emissions in 2022 global in the world, 36.8 billion carbon tons. China, 12 billion, USA, 4.7 billion tons, Japan, 1 billion, while Philippines, only 0.14 billion or 140 million carbon tons. Next. And we, Marubeni Corporation, has formulated a long-term vision on climate change. We have committed to ourselves and to the market and public to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. How we can achieve that? One of our strategy is to expand the volume of carbon stocks in our forests and expand the concentrated volume of carbon fixture through the multi-purpose utilization of afforested assets, which is now we have in Indonesia and Australia. Yes. Okay, back to Philippines. Amount of carbon dioxide emission in the Philippines consists of 0.4% in the globe. On the other hand, the Philippines is ranked world number 4 as the most affected country by climate change from 2000 to 2019. And we believe through afforestation and deforestation, trees would be absorb greenhouse gas and help both headwater conservation and landslide prevention. Next, please. I mentioned repeatedly about our forestry operations in Indonesia. This is our Mushifutam Trusada company in South Sumatra, Indonesia, where I was for 7.5 years. Our total net planted area, we have already planted 120,000 hectares, and the concession area is 272,000 hectares, quite a large area. We have a sister company, name is PT Tel, Tanjung Enim Lestari Papan Petra. So our forest in Sumatra, we plant, grow, and harvest and send to our sister company and replant. Sustainable operation. But this is still industrial forest plantations. Next, please. Next one is Western Australian operation. This is a bit smaller scale than Indonesia, 13,000 hectares of eucalyptus. We are producing wood chips from planted trees and export to China and Japan. Now, our initiatives, together with Secretary Euro Loizaga, in February this year, in the presence of President Marcos Jr., we signed Memorandum of Understanding with DENR, Secretary Tony, and Darkon Corporation, a parent company of DMCI Holdings, for the joint development of carbon credit program through deforestation and afforestation project. UP Los Baños is also our partner being involved in the project. The public, private, and academia collaboration project is underway. The site of the trial reforestation and afforestation is in Negros Occidental. The project develops a carbon credit program which will be the showcase for the Philippines' commitment to the protection of environment and forestry recovery and the global warming countermeasures. And not only sustainability, but also for economic growth opportunities, the project will create a new international trade market of carbon credit in the Philippines, based on the framework and guideline developed by the project. Also, the project will try to implement the guidelines of the joint crediting mechanism we call JCM between the Philippines and the government of Japan. So we, Marubeni, together with DENR, DMCI, UP Los Baños, believe this is the way we can recover the greens in this country. Yes, we do large-scale afforestation in Indonesia, Western Australia, but those are for industrial. We believe this country, industrial tree plantation is not actually matching to recover the large-scale of the forest in this country. So we're gonna create new market, which is carbon credit. And again, that will be the showcase for this country's commitment to the protection of environment and forest recovery. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Modasan. May I now call on Mr. Horia Adriana Polsim Corporation. Thank you.
Working. Magandang umaga. Kamusta sa lahat? Thank you. Sorry for not being able to speak in Tagalog today. Madam Secretary, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us to celebrate the World Environmental Day together with you today. We are very touched by this initiative. And I think in the next couple of minutes, I would like to share with you what Holcim stands for in terms of environmental commitment and what Holcim is doing in the Philippines to live up to these expectations. Next, please. I will start with some facts. When I was born, on the planet Earth lived 4 billion people. Today, on the very same planet Earth are living 8 billion people. And I'm not so old. So the point is, not only this changed during this time, but 40% of the mammals that used to be on planet Earth when I was born are not existing anymore today. So they are extinct. If we continue as a humankind to develop in the same way as we used to develop in the past, we will be needing more than 2 planets to give us the resources that we need in the year 2030. By the way, last year, the humankind living on this planet used 1.4 times the resources this planet is able to regenerate every year. So we are actually using more than our planet is able to regenerate in a year. And this should be an alarm bell for everybody living on this planet. Now, I like very much in the introductory speech of Madam Secretary the word ways of working. Because construction in general accounts for 37% of carbon dioxide emissions worldwide. When I say construction, I say everything from construction materials to building a building, to operating a building, and to demolishing a building. So I'm speaking about the lifetime of a construction. If we continue to build as we used to build in the past, meaning taking virgin materials from nature, transforming them, using them in a construction, and then throwing them into the landfill when the building is demolished, we will not contribute to the preservation of our beautiful planet. And I think changing the way of working from take, use, throw to another way of working of trying to reuse most of the old materials into the new buildings, trying to build smarter using less materials for the same scope, and trying to embed recycling into the way of working of future construction, that will change the way the planet will develop in the future in terms of new way of construction. Holcim is on a mission to decarbonize the construction industry. Not only here, it's about worldwide. And coming back to more close to where we are, to the Philippines. In the Philippines, in 2021, there were 54 million people living in the urban area. The forecast of the World Bank is that in 2030, in the Philippines will be 72 million people living in the urban area. With other words, we will need to build a city bigger than Manila between now and 2030. There is a huge task, and we should take the opportunity to build it using new ways of working. It's so crucial. We should not use the same amount of virgin materials as we used to do in the past. We should embed circularity into our new way of working. I do believe circularity is an opportunity of our lifetime to preserve the beauty of the Philippines. In 2 years' time, since I'm living here, I was traveling from Tawi-Tawi to Vigan City. I was on Mount Apo and Mount Pulag. I was in the depth of Dumaguete. You have a beautiful country, beautiful, so green, so nice. And because I like diving, I have to say one of the most beautiful corals I have seen are in the Philippines. Let's try to preserve this for the future. And Holcim will be a partner with everyone who wants to work alongside us to preserve the natural beauty of the Philippines. Next slide. As I said, Holcim is looking at decarbonizing the construction industry, and we are looking at this in a holistic way. First of all, we will decarbonize our operations. And I'm proud to say that last year, we reduced our CO2 emissions per ton of cement by 7%. And this year, we want to go even stronger to more than 9% reduction of CO2 emissions per ton of cement. Next, how do we build? I mentioned before, let's try to build better with less resources. It is possible for you to build the same building like this one, like a hospital, like a office building, using at least 50% less materials. How? Well, with smart design. And I'm coming to the next one, making buildings more sustainable. When you build with smarter design, you have more efficient buildings. During its lifetime, the building will be more efficient. We'll use more of the energy provided by the sun, provided by the wind, provided by the geothermal, rather than provided by coal-fired power plants, for example. And last step, circular construction. When we demolish a building, let's try to reuse the concrete to build a new building. Concrete is the only material that is 100% recyclable. It can be used 100% to build new concrete and new materials, new constructions out of the old concrete that is generated by demolishing a building. So let's work together. And I like another word that Madam Secretary used, synergies. If we are all together aligned around embedding circularity into the new ways of working of construction in the Philippines, we will make headways in terms of environmental protection in the country. Next. Holcim is prepared to provide the right solutions for construction industry. Our flagship product, Excel, has been recently branded Excel EcoPlanet because we have been able to reduce CO2 emissions for this very product by more than 20% over the last 5 years. So this product is having emissions that are 30% less than traditional ordinary Portland cement. And I'm proud to say that in Holcim, more than 76% of our products are blended cements, meaning with much lower environmental, let's say, carbon footprint. As I said, we will continue to reduce the CO2 emissions, and we are prepared to invest money into modern technologies also in the future to reuse the carbon or to capture the carbon that we issue. Next. Circularity, I have mentioned it several times. Last year in Holcim operations, we reused 1 million tons of recycled waste. Recycled waste coming from other industries, coming from domestic waste. We transform this waste into fuel in the co-processing in our cement kilns. And we are working together with 40 local government units to solve their waste problem, to divert these materials from the landfill to co-processing. We have the solution. We are going to invest more than 1 billion peso in the next years to enhance our geocycle facilities in order to accommodate more co-processing capabilities in our operations. Next. Now, this is very close to my heart, and as I understood, this is very close to Madam Secretary heart, and we should make it happen because this is a solar-powered catamaran. So it's 100% independent, doesn't use fossil fuels, and it was deployed by Holcim in the waters of Manila Bay, and it will be used to collect plastic from the water. And this plastic will either be recycled, and we are working with recycling partners, or will be co-processed in our operations if it's not possible to be recycled. Nothing will be landfilled. We are also trying to increase awareness on circularity and on plastic pollution of oceans by using this catamaran. And we are working with the University of Philippine Marine Science in order to collect the data and to promote, to make sure that we take the right decisions in the future in terms of protecting the marine environment in the Philippines. Next. Our sustainability efforts are not only on decarbonizing our operations, but also on reducing our water consumptions. And I'm proud to say that we have reduced only last year 50% of our water consumption. In the last years, more than 64%, and we have been awarded for that early this year. And last but not least, I'm very excited to move ahead with the marine bioconcrete solution of Holcim. We are working with some authorities in North Mindanao in order to support the coral life and the coastal protection with this concrete-based solution. We have placed in 2010 an artificial coral reef from concrete, and we have investigated the situation today. It looks good. And we are working together with authorities, customers, but also scientific circle in order to design the proper solution for coral restoration and coastal protection in the Philippines. Well, that was all from my side. Thank you very much again for inviting me. And let's make Philippines a champion in environmental protection. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adrian, for that very interesting and enriching presentation. Thank you, sir. May I now call on Mr. Vince Dizon, Chief Regulatory Officer of Prime Infra, to share his message.
Thank you very much, Secretary Tony, to the hardworking men and women of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Good morning and happy World Environment Day. Sec Tony, and to everyone here, as someone who came from government just fairly recently, I think it is so laudable to listen to the words of our president and Secretary Loizaga when they call on all of us here in the country to really come together as a nation, as a society, to combat, I think, what we face as the most difficult challenge of our time, which is climate change. Just a few years back, the world faced a once-in-a-century pandemic. And I think we would all agree here that if it weren't for that same whole of nation, whole of society approach, I don't think we would be at the better end of that once-in-a-century event without the help of everyone here, especially those who work in government, the hardworking men and women in government, and our partners in the private sector. So thank you, Sec Tony. Thank you to our president for leading the way to continuing this whole of nation and whole of society approach to really fight what is the most challenging and the most existential threat that we face, which is climate change. On behalf of Mr. Enrique Razon, Mr. Guillaume Lucci of Prime Infra, we just want to tell you, Sec Tony, to tell the president, to tell everyone at DNR that we are one with you in fighting climate change and working together to combat these challenges that we all face. As proof of that, we commit all our resources to help the department, to help our partners in the private sector really do our best to not only manage our water resources efficiently, to manage our forest resources, our marine resources efficiently, but to also preserve them for years to come. Just very recently, Sectoni, with the help of Yusek Jonas, Yusek Mitch, Yusek CP, Yusek Natus, and all others here in DNR, we signed a landmark reforestation program, a 1,800 reforestation program in the Upper Marikina protected area, as part of our work in the dam that Mr. Razon and Prime Infra built there to preserve and provide for water resources in Metro Manila. And this is, I think, by far one of the biggest reforestation programs that will be embarked on. And Sectoni, we're happy to report to you that things are moving well. We are working hard with Yusek Jonas and his team, Attorney Tom, I saw him here a while ago, in order to push this forward. But apart from that, we are also working on a major reforestation program in the province of Bohol with Governor Omentado, and also another reforestation program in the province of Mindoro. But I think more important than this is, I think, what we try to do in terms of trying to help the department and the national government in policy formulation and policy advocacy. As you very well know, Prime Infra's motto, what we believe in, what Mr. Razon believe in, is really building resilient communities through critical infrastructure. And I think this is very important for us to really understand and really live by. You know, infrastructure, it's easy to build, as we've seen. Throughout the world, there's been a major infrastructure boom, especially here in Asia. But to build resiliently is something that is not so easy. And our partners from Marubeni know this very well. Marubeni has been in the forefront. We have worked with them during my time in the Basis Conversion Development Authority in New Clark City. And we all understand that while building infrastructure is important, while building infrastructure is critical, we must always emphasize that we have to build resilient infrastructure. And Sectoni, we want to assure you, and we want to assure all the men and women of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources that Prime Infra is one with you. Resiliency is not easy. First of all, it's expensive. It's not cheap to build resilient infrastructure. It's always easier to go through the easier path, to cut corners. That's the easier way to go. But to build resilient infrastructure is what we need. And that is the commitment, Madam Secretary of Prime Infra, of Mr. Rizon, to not only to you, to the President, to the Department of Environment, but to the entire country, especially now as we face this huge challenge. And I know that you've made very important commitments to COP and other international fora and international commitments that the country and the President has made. And please be rest assured that we are always here for you. We will always be here to support you and support not only your advocacy, but support everything that you do from policy to execution. We are here for you, and we are here for the President and the entire country. Thank you very much. And again, happy World Environment Day to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Vin. On that note, maybe now Mr. Bien Mateo for SM Supermall.
Madam Secretary and the DNR team, our friends from the private sector and media, our guests, on behalf of SM Prime Holdings, Inc., and each of our 83 SM Supermalls, I am honored today to speak to you on the occasion of World Environment Day. It is a day set aside globally to create awareness on the impact of human activities on our shared space, which is the Mother Earth. And we need to work together towards a sustainable future. SM Prime Holdings, with our own sustainability champion, Mr. Hansi, at its helm, believe in a better future for this country. And we have long put in place initiatives aimed at ensuring that our operations are sustainable and environmentally friendly. We focus on energy conservation, solid waste reduction, and water conservation, among others. On energy efficiency, we use LED lights in all our properties and maintain 50% of our electric supply from renewable sources. We have 17 malls with solar power installations, able to generate 20.165 megawatts of peak energy. 2023 marks the 15th year we have supported Earth Hour, the participation of all SM malls and its tenants in the global lights switch off has resulted in conserved energy equivalent to CO2 emissions of charging over 400,000 smartphones. On solid waste management, our flagship program, Trash to Cash Recycling Market, has led to the responsible disposal of more than 1.2 million kilograms of recyclables a year. And it continues every first weekend of the month in all our malls. We have also electronic waste collection booths in our malls. We have piloted eco vending machines where you put plastic water bottles and get discount coupons in return. For many years, we have coastal, river, and community cleanup drives nationwide. And today, we are mounting this year's series of coastal cleanup activities in various malls around the country until June 10 in celebration of World Ocean Day. That is in partnership with the DENR, the local governments, and schools. We are expecting nearly 1,500 volunteers to join this nationwide. We have recycled 3.5 million cubic meters of water in our properties in the past year and reuse this daily to clean our malls and water our plants, lessening our dependence on fresh water sources for non-potable use. We have implemented green designs in our buildings and use recycled water for our cooling systems. We have water catchment basins in 23 of our malls, each the size of about 3 to 5 Olympic-sized swimming pools to prevent flooding in the surrounding communities. We promote a bike-friendly environment and celebrated World Bike Day last Saturday with a month-long bike fair giving incentives and discounts to bikers nationwide. We pioneered in-mall electric vehicle charging stations, of which we now have the most number, 34 e-vehicle chargers in 28 of our malls. Our partnership with the DENR, DOE, DOST, and fellow NGOs and private sector organizations to pursue environmental stewardship and disaster risk resilience is resolute and year-round. We can do no less with the active participation and leadership of Mr. Hans C. in the UNISDR ARISE and the National Resilience Council, guiding us on the importance of going beyond complying with the United Nations Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Resilience. As we celebrate World Environment Day, on behalf of the SM family, Madam Secretary, you have our commitment that we will continue to embrace sustainability in everything we do as a company to protect the environment for the future generation of Filipinos. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Engineer Bien. And may we now call on Mr. Jimmy Lu of San Miguel Corporation.
Thank you, Secretary Losaga. Good morning to our colleagues in DNR, our longtime partner in this program of the rehabilitation of the major river system in Metro Manila and Bulacan. This has been going on for 3 years already in partnership with DNR, MMDA, DILG, DPWH, and the local government units that we have been working on. This may be of interest to you because some of you may be living nearby this river system, and you may be interested how it is progressing. So we started this in 2020, when Mr. Ang was invited to volunteer in the Manila Bay cleanup program of DNR, and we started with the Tulyahan River, and then this was followed in 2021 by the cleanup of the Pasig River. And then in 2022, we also, upon the request of the local government units in Bulacan, we also initiated the cleanup program along the Bulacan rivers. Likewise, we also added San Juan River as a part of the tributary of Pasig River. So far, Mr. Ang and San Miguel has invested about 3 billion pesos for this cleanup of all this river system. At the start, our objective was to remove the silt and waste to address river pollution, and at the same time restore marine life, improve the quality of the river, water quality of the rivers. But as we realized that by so doing, we are deepening and widening the river, we are also increasing its hydraulic capacity or water holding capacity, and thereby addressing also the flooding concerns among the community, especially those brought about by the climate change, with the extreme weather. And of course, with that widening and deepening, we're also effectively improving the transport, the safe transport of commercial vessels, as well as ferries and the fisher's folks as well. This is the first time we will be showing in full integrated map all the activities that we have been doing. In Metro Manila, we have the Tulyahan River, the Pasig River, and the San Juan River. As you may notice that together with the Marikina River, these are the 4 major river systems where almost all the tributaries in Metro Manila are passing through to go out of Manila Bay. As for Bulacan, we have the Maycapis River, Amay-Kawayan River, and the Maycapis-Taliptip River. And these 2 rivers handles all the south portion of Bulacan, as well as Malabon, Nabotas, and Valenzuela. And we are pleased to report for the 3 years that we have been working, we have already removed about 3 million cubic meters of silt and waste and covered 42 kilometers among all those rivers. As was mentioned about swimming pools, this is equivalent to 1,200 Olympic-sized swimming pool of water holding capacity that is added to the river, and about 200,000 dump trucks that we have removed so far. It's a bit small in terms of the photos there, but Tulyahan River is around 11 kilometers that we have covered, and we have removed 1.12 million metric tons from 0 to 2 meters deep to 3 to 5 meters deep. That's the one. Pasig River, we have already exceeded Tulyahan at 1.26 million tons of silt and waste removed, and we are already 22 kilometers of the 27 kilometers of Pasig River. Ang naiwan na lang yung Pasig-Taguig area. And for San Juan River, we have already covered 5 kilometers in the Santa Ana, Mandaluyong area, as well as in Quezon City. For Bulacan, we have Maykawayan River. We've covered 2 kilometers already of the 4 kilometers we're looking at. And for Maycapis-Taliptip River, we have already covered 1.6 kilometers. This is the latest one, which we just started last March. So it would be too long to present all the details, and let me just share each case for each river and which are the most important factor for each river system. For Tulyahan, it's the widening. The issue of Tulyahan is there are many narrow channels because of the erosion of soil. As you could see in the photo here, this is in Potrero, Malabon City, and it's practically close the river. No? After several months of dredging, we have removed that blockage, and we believe that this is one of the reasons why there is flooding in Potrero and Valenzuela. This can be even shown in the photograph, the drone view before and after it is cleared. No? And it can be even further defined by the bathymetric survey. Could say that the yellow and the orange is less than 2 or 1 meters, and the green. So green is 3 meters above. So you want it to be 3 meters and above as shown there. No? So this is already the result. Even the one at the end, which is MacArthur Bridge, MacArthur Highway, is already green. No? That's where most of the traffic happening. No? Here is near the NLEX, as it's a very challenging area. As you could see that there are many boulders blocking. It's practically no water at all. So we are employing different equipment to remove this. And now, before and after, you could see this is the NLEX, and we have practically cleared the way for Quezon City River to flow out of Tulyahan River going to Malabon. This is the same also as you could see before and after. And just to show you some pictures or video feed during the rainy season, because we monitor the river during the time, as you could see that the embankment is quite high because this was designed for the river overflow. And as you could see, even on heavy rains, we don't see anymore the river embankment to be overflowing. No? More importantly, during the last typhoon Paeng, no, there was no river overflow in Tulyahan River. If there was flooding, it receded for just 2 hours, which normally takes a day, no, for the river in Valenzuela to recede. You may see a bit of garbage there as well. Now, going to Pasig River, the case is more using the right equipment. Tulyahan is a 60 to 100 meter, 40 to 100 meter wide. This is more than 150 meter wide. No? So we have to employ bigger equipment. We're using a 900-ton hopper barge and 50-tonner backhoes. You might see that this is quite big. But if you look at the area that it has to cover, especially Manila Bay, again, you could see Manila Bay is orange and yellow. So that means less than 2 or 1 meters. You could see Manila Bay, how big it is and how small the equipment now is. So the magnitude that it has to clear. And this is actual footage of the dredging at Manila Bay sometime in March of this year. Let me just skip immediately. This is so far, again, it's a small area. The red line represents the design of DPWH, and the shaded area represents how much San Miguel has already covered the design. As you could see, we're all practically, Secretary Tony, we're almost done in our project for Pasig River. The only one remaining is in Pasig Taguig area. In the Pasig River extension, which is from Marikina River Junction to Laguna Lake, the case is more prioritizing section to dredge along this area. This is in Laguna Lake at the mouth of the river, of Pasig River. And this is the mathematic survey. Again, you be guided. If it's green and blue, it's already okay. And it's yellow that we have to deepen. No? We have covered already from Laguna Lake up to the Napindan Bridge. And we were advised that from the Fisher Fox and LLDA Secretary Tony that the problem is really the gate of MMDA, flood control. So we went there now at the MMDA, and the ferry is passing to the right side, but the floodgate is blocked on the left side. So we are now there. This is taken last week. We're near the floodgate, and the floodgate, you can almost step on it, the river, because you can walk on the floodgate during the low tide. No? It's practically less than 0.5 meters. So we are deepening this so that water from Laguna Lake can go out to Manila Bay. Hopefully, we solve the problem also of the flooding around the towns of Laguna Lake as well. So far, this is what, in terms of map, Pasig River, and we added San Juan River there as well, no, as a tributary. And here in San Juan River, the interesting case is, especially in Quezon City, this has been the challenge, the flooding in Talayan and Tatalon area. And it's practically a challenging job because it's a very shallow river. And we found a way how to solve the problem. But before that, let me show you, this is in Doña Imelda, Quezon City, also before Tatalon River. As you could see that the river is practically blocked by the pile up of soil, no, that has been there, and now that's clear. So again, we have removed the bottleneck on one of the areas in San Juan River in Quezon City. That's East E. Rodriguez Avenue, the bridge in E. Rodriguez Avenue. And this is now the shallow river. How we do it? We employ an amphibious excavator and remove first the center, put it at the side. No, this is in Quezon Avenue already. And after we remove, we go back, bring the hopper barge, and take out the one that we place on the riverbank. And then we put that, bring it to the dump trucks for loading. So that's how we remove the soil and silt in Tatalon area. And we are pleased to show you this video, just taken earlier this month when the heavy rain started, that as you could see, that the water is flowing fast now in San Juan River. So no flooding in Talayan area when this happened. No? And now we are under Quezon Avenue Bridge. And practically we're in that tunnel and we're removing the blockage in that Quezon Avenue Bridge. And here is Talayan already. So we bridged Talayan, which is the most perennial flooding area in Quezon City. So for my Saliptip River, this was something we have to do before the rainy season started. As you know, this is the whole map of Bulacan River, and basically the Maykawayan River and the Saliptip River covers the whole tributaries in Bulacan, in the south of Bulacan, including Malabon, Nabotas, and Valenzuela. So Maykawayan River, we have already covered 2.2 kilometers in Maykawayan River. This is the mouth of Maykawayan River. And we realized that it's basically a very wide river, and we need to prioritize the one that is really very shallow. And this is the Taliptip River. Again, you could see it's orange. So that means it's less than 0.5 meters deep, no? And practically blocking the flow. And that's why there is heavy flooding in Ubando, Bulacan, no? And Bulacan. So pleased to report that in just less than 3 months, we have already covered 1.6 kilometers. And we are already nearing the mouth of the river. Once we clear the mouth of the river, then it's easier for the water to flow out. And we're placing the dredge material in a designated area, the relocation site, and practically converting that swamp into a soil area. We're also doing some improvement in new river channels moving forward. As you could see, we were having a bypass channel in Muson River going out of Manila Bay, and other channels in order to straighten the river. Okay. So, so far, we have been doing all of this dredging activity. Likewise, we see government agencies as doing a lot of infrastructure projects, addressing also the same issue, putting up river embankments, putting up pumping station. And we also see a lot of interagency company, government, local governments helping remove the garbage along the river. No? However, we need to address the root cause of the problem. So we enjoin everyone to work really close. We saw some projects for garbage clinic to really address the root cause, educating the local community in removing the garbage from the source. No, so proper garbage collection, proper education, and proper control. So that's all, and thank you very much for the opportunity to share this story.
Thank you very much, Engineer Jimmy. Maybe now call on Mr. Tulsi Das Reyes for his message. Thank you.
Envi- Environment Secretary Maria Antonio Yulo Lozaga, esteemed members of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity for me to speak here today. As we commemorate World Environment Day, I'd like to share how the Consuni Group of companies are committed to conserving our planet for future generations, and how we are stepping up to address the environmental challenges that threaten our country's growth and sustainability, together with the DNR. I'll be focusing on our partnership the past 6 months. Earlier this year, an oil tanker carrying 800,000 liters of industrial oil capsized in the waters of Oriental Mindoro. In a matter of days, our teams from DMCI Power Corporation, Semirara Mining and Power rose to the occasion and dedicated numerous man hours to help clean up this oil spill. In the process, we collected thousands of kilograms of contaminated debris from Oriental Mindoro and Semirara Island. We hope this helped avert further damage on our marine diversity and coastal communities. But our commitment went beyond immediate remediation. Recognizing the impact on fishing communities who were suddenly deprived of livelihood, we provided relief packs to the affected households on Semirara and Liwagao Islands. This was a reactive measure, but what we are most excited to discuss with you all or talk about is our preventive measure. Because looking ahead, we see a new and exciting path for our country and our companies and the nation as a whole. We're very happy to announce we have partnered with the Marubeni Corporation of Japan through the Marubeni Philippines President Shimoda-san, and the DNR through Secretary Loizaga to develop the Philippines' first carbon credit program, initiative closely guided by the UP Los Baños Foundation through Dean Marlo and his team. With the full technical and financial backing of the Consuni and Marubeni groups, a trial area in Condoni, Negros Occidental has been identified for industrial afforestation, reforestation, and revegetation. Depending on the preliminary results, where we have teams going to Condoni almost every other week now, we hope the results should be available later this year. The UPLB Foundation will prepare a comprehensive development management plan. This will serve as our blueprint for turning other idle, undeveloped lands in the Philippines into carbon credit sites. Just to give you an idea of scale, our first target is to achieve 1,000 hectares. And of course, we'd like to achieve much more, but the confidence within the group we have created, the contributions from the government sector, the private sector, the academe, I honestly and truly believe we'll achieve much more than the 100,000. These credits can then be sold in the international carbon market to public or private entities who need to offset their own emissions. This initiative is nothing short of a game changer for both the environment and our economy. It represents a bold, forward-thinking approach to tackling climate change, turning unutilized lands into significant contributors to global carbon offset reliefs. But this impact goes beyond environmental stewardship. By actively engaging in the international carbon market, the Philippines stands to create a new, sustainable revenue stream that can fuel further environmental and developmental projects, as we've all heard today from our partners. We recognize the challenges of launching a program as ambitious as this. We are optimistic and encouraged by the support we have received, especially from the DNR. We believe that by uniting the forces of the private sector, government, and academe, we can effectively navigate these complexities and launch a nationwide carbon credit program. Together, we can foster environment responsibility, support biodiversity, and bring more livelihood opportunities, especially to those marginalized communities. United, we can create a more sustainable future for our country. I'd like again to say Happy World Environment Day. Thank you again and mabuhay. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Dad, for the support, especially during the oil spill. We'd like to really acknowledge the role of Semirara in anticipating and preventing as well as regenerating the areas in Antique. Now I'd like to call on a recent partner and really another game changer, Ms. Nanette Medvedpo, founder and chair of the Plastic Credit Exchange, for her message. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and just talk to you about the work that we do with DENR in partnership. I would expect that a lot of you don't know about it because we're not as large a company as the rest of the people on the panel. So my presentation is going to cover our partnership and what we've achieved to date. All right. So to date, we have two interventions, one in agriculture and another one in plastics. So we're going to talk about the agriculture space first. Hope works with about 21,000 plus farmers in smallholder farmers in Mindanao. And to date, we have distributed to them over 1 million coconut trees for them to plant on their properties, as well as do other intercropping interventions to increase their income in the farms. I'm not going to talk so much about that because I think the material point here was when the PCA made it clear that they were aspiring to plant 7 million coconut trees to help not only the smallholder farmers with their income, but also to help us maintain our export standing for coconuts. And so we were very happy so far to plant 1.1 million. We're hoping to do hopefully another million in the next 18 months. And this leads to a projection of additional carbon sequestration of about 128,000 metric tons over the next 10 years. I'd like to caveat that a little bit. There's an asterisk there. The average mortality on coconut trees or saplings is about 30% when these programs are done. But in Hope's case, we've been very lucky. It's only 14%. And that's because the people on the ground, our staff on the ground are very diligent to only do distributions when the weather is not so harsh so that the saplings have a higher chance of survival. And then, of course, we've been able to inject over 24 million pesos in allowing the incomes to the farmers to have an income increase of more than 24 million. And that's because not only are we providing them with additional ways to make money through, they're selling their coconuts into the supply chains that we introduce them to, but also the intercropping, and we have turned them into micro entrepreneurs. So some of them have become nurseries for certified trees or banana suckers, and we buy it from them. So medyo nagkakaroon sila ng mga entrepreneurial activities. Okay, I think the next slide shows you where we work in Mindanao. Those are our areas of intervention, and I think we have, if you will bear with me, I think we have a 2-minute video to show you a specific project we did with Vita Coco, which is the largest coconut water brand in the world. And part of the 1 million coconut trees was also with them. So if you can please play this.
In 2014, Vita Coco, the world's leading coconut water brand, created the Vita Coco Project in hopes of empowering coconut farming communities across the world. These communities face many challenges, including inefficient farming practices, senile coconut trees, and a shortage of schools. With partners like Hope, we help farmers implement organic farming practices, maximize and diversify their crops, and build.
Binigyan ako ng mga garden tools, mga seedling. Nabigyan din po kami ng worm, saka yung 2 kambing. Marami po silang training na itinuro sa amin at na-apply din namin sa farm like intercropping. Ginawa ko sa sariling paraan na magtanim ng mga kakao, banana, coconut, at kamote. Nakatulong din po kami sa mga tao na magkaroon din sila ng income nila sa farm namin.
Sa lubi, na isaging, na mga abono, na wala gid mo puot sa mga kaugalingon nga bulsa para madapat na mo sa mga tanom.
Pag may itinatanim, ay aminin.
Nang dahil po sa classroom, nagbago po lahat. Mas tumaas po yung enerhiya namin na ibigay yung mga nararapat na kaalaman po sa mga bata.
Kalakat lang, tapos ngayon, building na.
Nakapag-aral na kami ng mabuti.
Nakaka-proud po na meron na po kaming bagong building.
Totoo pala, may pag-asa.
Sige, so that's our agriculture program. I'd like to just focus though again and raise the point that the coconut trees is actually our big intervention for the next few years because we're trying to increase the additional carbon sequestration capacity of the Philippines. And by the way, every time one of those credits is sold, that's additional income for the farmers. So we basically treat it as an additional crop. So if you're selling your coconuts, you're also selling the carbon sequestration. So they get some additional income. Okay, so moving into the plastic space. So this was a program that was born around the beginning of COVID. And despite that, and back then, wala pang EPR po, so this was pre-EPR, we were able to start PCX and Aling Tindera, which was working with LGUs around the country to clean up post-consumer plastic waste through women sari-sari store owners po. And this is a waste to cash program. So far, we have cleaned up over 47 million kilos through this program. And we work with over 122. This number keeps growing each day because a lot of the LGUs are very supportive of this. As you know, solid waste usually comes from the budget of the LGU. So of course, when we come in and we bring in market funding, private sector funding to pay for the cleanup of waste, of course, the LGU has a savings. So syempre, they want to support this. And then there's additional income to the communities. As you've seen here, we have injected over $4 million into the circular economy investments around the country. And then we noticed from our Aling Tindera partners who seem to be very happy, you'll see a video of one after this, their income also increases. Kasi po, let's say for example, rather than itapon sa estero where San Miguel has to clean it up, itapon sa estero yung mga basura, they backhaul it to the Aling Tindera. So they're going to go anyway to buy their 3-in-1 coffee or their Lucky Me noodles or whatever. So since pupunta na rin lang sa tindahan, dinadala nila yung mga plastic nila para ibenta kay Aling Tindera. But when they're there and the Aling Tindera pays them for the plastics, they're not saving that money. They're usually spending it there. So that additional foot traffic allows her also to increase her revenue in her stores. No, so the Aling Tinderas win with the increased income. The incremental income to the communities is also helpful, of course, to the LGU for cleaning up. That doesn't need to come from their budget. And of course, the environment gets cleaned up. So it's a win-win-win for all. I think our next slide is a video of Aling Norname, no? Sige.
Bilang aling mamimili ng mga sachet, plastic bottle, para hindi ko sinabi, dito na lang mag-gawin ng mga sachet at saka mga bottle. Sabi lang sa mga drainage, para hindi pa po tayo bumaha. Nung project, luminis na namin mga lugar.
Kawawa naman si barangay captain. Nawala yung boses niya. Okay, well, anyway, you get the gist. So the fellow that you saw there was the barangay captain. And of course, since we know that the solid waste management is very decentralized into the barangays, of course, the barangay chairman is also very happy because yung kanyang trabaho mas madali if you are paying for the basura to go to the aling tinderas. I think this is I wanted to talk very briefly about our pre and post EPR partnership with the DENR. So we started operating as a voluntary program, as I said, for cleaning up plastic waste in 2019. We were the very first in the world. We're so proud. Every time I just came from Paris and we were presenting there. And actually, we're so proud that the Philippines was the first in the world to generate a standard for plastic offsetting, which we're now sharing with many countries on how to do this. So we're very proud that that's a Philippine innovation. And then after that, we assisted in the technical working groups for the EPR bill, both in Congress and in Senate. And then later, when DENR was doing their IRR, I think they invited quite a few stakeholders to come and comment on the drafting of the IRR. So we were also involved in that. And now that there is EPR, thank goodness, we are now a compliance partner and a PRO representing about 55 companies so far. This is our commitment to the secretary and to DENR that you'll see in our statement that we really are trying our very best to make sure that we're setting up the Philippine EPR for success by convincing companies that compliance and even beyond, in my next slide, I'll show you, we're not only doing compliance as a PRO, but we are encouraging companies to go beyond compliance. If in 2023, the compliance is 20%, why not do 100%? And these are the companies right now who we have already convinced to do 100%, not just 20%. So of course you have Alaska, PepsiCo, L'Oreal, Mondelez, Wayeth, you have Datu Puti, and some of the other brands there, they are actually not even Philippine brands, but we have convinced them to clean up in the Philippines, even if they're not from the Philippines. These are US brands. So parang unofficial aid to the Philippines that we are asking them to help us clean up the plastic waste. So our statement and our commitment to DENR is that we will work with the private sector to ensure we are meeting the goals of government to reduce the flow of post-consumer plastic waste polluting nature and instead make sure it feeds the circular economy with programs that improve livelihood and scale up social impact and invest in much needed behavior change. And with that, I will, if any of you have any questions about the work we are doing, you can find it online on either of our websites. But I'd like to end hopefully with a 30-second inspirational video on plastic cleanup. Thank you po. Actually, Sec Tony, we should give you that video and just put DENR at the end.
We accept all that support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Nanette Medvedpo. That energy is being channeled very, very much into our EPR campaign. And we look forward to everyone joining us there. Our last two speakers, and I think that this would be, again, an example of the new ways of work that we are mentioning. I'd like to call on from Makilala Mining, Ms. Engineer Jane Duran and Ms. Judy Rola, who are Head of Mining and Head of Information Management from Makilala, respectively. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for inviting us. And today we will be presenting an overview for the Maalinaw Kaigutan Biyog, or the MCB Copper Gold Mining Project that is located in Balatok, Pasil, Kalinga. So the MCB project is the flagship project of the Makilala Mining Company and Celsius Resources Limited. It is potentially the first green mine in the Philippines and Southeast Asia region based on the following 5 key features. First, it will be the first commercial copper gold mine in the Philippines with no conventional tailings dam, because we will be using the tailings for backfilling and dry stacking as our tailings management. Second, it has a potential to utilize renewable energy, because currently there are ongoing run-of-river hydro project and geothermal and also solar power development in the area. Third, we have a very minimal footprint, approximately 32 hectares, or equivalent to 1.7% of the overall mining tenement. Also, recently, including in our EIS process, we have agreed to a supplementary agreement for sustainable mine development with the DENR. Lastly, for our progressive and mine rehabilitation programs, it will lead to an ecotourism development because Pasil and the province of Kalinga, they are blessed with tourist areas like waterfalls, and then they also have rice terraces and sulfur hills. And on top of these 5 key features, the Balatok ICC have the sense of ownership for this project as shareholders. So who is Makilala Mining? Who is Makilala Mining? MMCI is an affiliate of a dual-listed company in ASX and London Stock Exchange, Celsius Resources Limited, that is based in Perth, Australia. Our vision is to be the model mining company bringing lasting positive impact by harnessing our natural capital in the Philippines within 5 years. So this vision has started actually when the new owners came in 2021. So why 5 years? Because within 5 years, we target to develop and operate this project. And our mission is to go beyond responsible mining with our firm adherence to sustainability through our 7 Ps: people, planet, prosperity, peace, partnership, purpose, and providence, which we preach and practice within our workplace, our homes, and communities. So the MCB project is amenable for an underground mining. It has a potential for a 25-year mine life that will produce copper gold concentrate. Our maximum target for production is 4.5 million ton, but we will be starting with a production rate of 2.25 million ton per annum. So therefore, over the 25-year mine life, we will be producing approximately 50 million tons of ore with 1.1% copper equivalent. So the mining method that we will be employing for the MCB is sub-level open stoping with backfilling method. And this backfilling method will eliminate the need for the conventional dam. How is that? So the tailings that will be producing our mineral processing will be used as backfill. Dadagdagan lang natin siya ng cement for it to become a paste backfill that will go back to the underground. All excess will be managed on the surface through dry stacking. So these methods are actually implemented or employed here in the Philippines and also abroad. In all our plans and programs, we've included the general considerations to avoid any economic, physical, and cultural displacement impacts. And also, we've integrated in all our plans or all environmental management, including as well as the rehabilitation of the old tailings dam that has been operated during the 1980s. And through time, nag-collapse siya and spilled to the Pasil River, and it went through until Chico River. So that's one of the main concerns of the community, why they don't want to have a conventional tailings dam. And it's good that we have this kind of technology, the backfilling and the dry stacking. So that's what we will be employing for the MCB project. So for the next slides, I will give the floor to Ms. Judy.
The success of any project does not only depend on having the right technical and financial resources. It also hinges on the synergy among the government, the private sector, and the community that you're working with. Lucky for Makilala Mining because we have the able support and guidance of DENR, EMB, and the Mines and Geosciences Bureau to be able to bring this project to fruition. And because the location of the project is an ancestral domain, we have just undergone a free, prior, and informed consent process with the Balato community, which culminated into the signing of a memorandum of agreement. And the provisions of the MOA not only states the minimum requirements as prescribed by law, but as Jane mentioned before, we went beyond compliance and we offered the community not just as a beneficiary, but as a partner in development by becoming shareholders in the company. So for now, because of the Marcos government stance on proactive stance on mining, MGB gave Makilala Mining with a priority status so they would be able to fast track government approvals for our permitting process. So for now, we have just been issued the environmental compliance certificate by the DENR by end of May. So we were just completing the technical review, and then once that the declaration of mining project feasibility is issued by MGB, we'll be applying for a mineral production sharing agreement with the government. And upon the issuance of our ECC, Makilala Mining wants to show that it wants to go beyond compliance as a commitment of support to DENR's call for beyond the responsible mining. So we are the first company to be having a voluntary supplementary agreement for sustainable mining development and management. And within this agreement, there are 4 key result areas that will be specific and measurable during the life of the mine, and it focuses on water and environment, noise pollution, and waste management, power management, and carbon sequestration, as well as social development and community relations. So, sorry. We'll just want to show you the final mine rehabilitation plan once the project is completed. This has been developed in partnership with or in consultation with the community. So their vision for their community upon the end of the mine is an ecotourism site for the project.
So this is an artist's rendition of what the project, the community will look like after the life of the mine. So the next is, that's the area for the land use, for the process plant and ROM pad. That's for the general admin and facility. And that's for the freshwater dam. So basically, as Jane mentioned, that the area is very scenic. It's very suitable for ecotourism. And for the indicative timeline, we're looking at finishing all our permitting requirements within the year. And hopefully, if we get our mineral production sharing agreement signed by Secretary Yulo with sometime within this quarter or the next quarter, we'll be able to develop the mine. Hopefully by 2024, we can start the project construction and the first commercial production by 2026. So with that, I would like to leave you with the words of Helen Keller, that alone we can do so little and together we can do so much. And that's the same also when it comes to protecting the environment. So we're very grateful for the support of Secretary Loizaga in inviting us to be a partner for this endeavor. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much to Makilala Mines. I just want to highlight the point that they have actually invited the IP community to be shareholders in the corporation. And this is one of the trailblazing innovations that is part of the Makilala Mine application. So thank you very much. And last but not least, we have a representative from BEST, who is actually a partner of the DNR at NCR, to talk about their work with us. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you to dearest Secretary Tony Vilolazaga and our eco champions here in DNR, and of course our eco warriors here and also online. We're happy World Environmental Day. So to begin, I would like to highlight a little bit of a story, and thank you also for DNR because you are basically one of the starting points of our program, even though during the pandemic, it really highlighted or boosted the morale of everybody to concentrate and develop this program. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit backgrounder, who BEST is, we are really a waste collector. So we are your basurero by heart. So we've been a waste collector for 20 years. And we are under the umbrella of IPM group of companies. We do a lot of local government contracts, just for your information. And BEST is the one in charge for the private sectors, creating programs, etc. Plus, it's also main program is also creating. So we have owned and operated sanitary landfills across the Philippines, no? And that is under BEST. And next, please. And we also have to increase our recovery of plastic waste. We know for a fact not all plastics are created equal. Some are created with higher value. But here we have adapted an RDF facility. And before we were able to collect about 400 metric tons of municipal solid waste. We are able to segregate it using a trommel. And that is where the RDF. So if you're not familiar with the term RDF, it's refuse derived fuel that are being also used by our partners. So we are also in partnership with Holcim, and we created the company EcoEdge. So continue. And this is where the fun thing happened during the pandemic. We said we are the waste collector. We are also the we manage solid waste landfills. But here we want to concentrate the prevention, reuse, recycle. So we created trash to cash back. I'm very, very happy that there are so many programs of such. But when we were creating this one, we were looking to increase the life of the landfills that we are operating. We've seen a lot of plastics, recovered plastics, but of course, when it gets dirty, the recycling companies will not tend to accept it anymore because it involves a lot of greenwashing, no, and a lot of hard work. So this program, Trash to Cashback, is an incentivized segregation at source program, and it's actually evidence-based decision with strategies. So we created a system that can also accelerate the compliance of barangays to comply with the RA 9003 or waste diversion reporting. So we are creating more stakeholders from the barangay levels and continue. And not only that, during the pandemic, we also created the My Basurero app. This is also a way for us to infiltrate those people who are far away from our communities so they can book a waste collection or even a recyclable pickup in their house, comfort from their homes or community. And also because we are in the landfill management already, during the pandemic, we created our own, it's called the site. It's a landfill management. So we're able to track how many trucks from our own and also the ones disposing their waste in our landfills or where we operate it. We can track the volume coming in, and we are now adapting from the volume of municipal solid waste, how much are being diverted in terms of plastic, etc. Next. Just over 2 years, and we have actually convinced 37,000, and I'm sure most of you here are already eco warriors, 37,000 eco warriors, and we are already found in 7 cities. And again, I cannot thank you so much with DNR because it really boosted our place being there, and developed 3 systems. And I am one of the creators, so I don't really normally talk. When I talk, I tend to describe the whole system, but I try to compose my presentation into more easy to adjust. Okay, next. All right, so probably I want to highlight the linear and the circular model. So as you can see on the left side or on that screen, this is where we are. This is what we do. We collect from household generated waste, industrial waste, and then we opt to, after picking it up, we opt to do a secondary sorting, no? And then before it ends up in the landfill or to our partner, Holcim or whoever might need the waste. But the problem really arises from waste generation. So who is really generating the waste? To me, everybody here. So we created the platform to be at the source with segregation program at the source, which highlights this visual representation. We segregate. So we have a pillar 1. We call it segregate. Number 2, exchange. So we create centers conveniently located in communities, right? And we are partnering with more and more barangays. So this is where you or individual are able to exchange the recyclables that we have a long list for that. Not only that, we partner with MSMEs. So with exchanging recyclables, you are actually getting environmental points. That's why we call it trash to cashback, because we have a system, it's app-based, it's also card-based. So you can get all your points there and use the points you get as if it were cash, but we're not cash. It's environmental points. So you can use it to buy, I don't know, your favorite burger or pizza or have your haircut done. This is quite important for the community because those businesses will actually accelerate you as an eco warrior to be an eco warrior because it incentivizes you to use the points in their store. So it's a whole community working. Plus, be responsible enough that we have to transport whatever we collect to our partner recycling company before it actually ends up in the landfill. That is the last resort. No? So next. So these are the drop-offs we have. We have in Pasig, Taguig, CDO, Bacolod, no, Manila, Quezon City, of course, Mandaluyong, and to name a few, we have a lot of activations also in Valenzuela, Alabang. No, so these are the community-driven drop-off centers. We're also found in malls as well. Next. So trash to cashback component. So people, planet, prosperity, right? So who are involved? Everybody's involved here. There is no reason for us not to help because, we generate the waste as it is. So it's just a matter of segregating what can be recycled. Knowledge is also one thing that we are giving to the communities, information, education, communication, and campaign. And what is the end goal? Of course, to recover as much resources that we have. Because remember, when we make, for example, this notebook, we have exhausted some sort of a resource, and we want to ensure that it being already taken from the natural resource, it should end up back to being recycled. So that whatever we can recover, we don't have to get another from the already still virgin tree, for example, so that the future generations will still have resources for them to use. So we are not exhausting everything. So just a couple more slides, and everybody might be hungry, but I would like to highlight the fact that we have also joined by other big companies to help concentrate on incentive. So Milo joined in, so they gave sachet Milo drinks, powdered drinks. But if you are able to give me back in a sachet Milo powdered drink, we will give you another Milo sachet with full. So something like that. We partnered with Lazada as well because their packaging, of course, composed of plastic and cardboard. And in return, the points that you are able to get from exchanging, you can use to purchase Lazada credits. So you can buy all the Lazada you want, the 66, 77, so many of them. Mondelez as well for recovery of their packaging. So all of these are exploratory. But as you will see towards the last slide, these are the, go back, sorry, too fast. Okay. So how we segregate, I just want to point out how we do segregation. Right? So for example, this is HDPE. This is actually recycling ready. This is dictated by our partners. So we are very keen as well because if our partners won't accept, we will not accept. So as much as possible, we would want to cater to their requirements. So move forward. Yep. So these are the type of waste we accept. We have an app. You can check everything there. My Basurero. It's only in Google Play Store. So the points that you get equivalent to what kilogram of or what type of waste is it. Next, please. So incentivized as well, as I mentioned. So we have partnership with Mondelez, Glasgow Green, and not only that we are able to partner with them, they have also created their own white labeled name for the program of Trash to Cashback Move. So actual exchanges, I just want to highlight. Thank you so much again. We have a lot of exchanges from Eco Warriors in DNR. Next. And our most, I said, a coveted program would be partnership with Coca-Cola. So this is a program we co-created with them. It's called Tindahan Extra Mile. And in doing this, we are able to tap all the sari-sari stores or mom and pop shop, brick and mortar. So we have activated 1,500 already stores actively exchanging yung kanilang mga suki. So instead of their suki disposing it somewhere, they are the eco warriors or eco champions of their community. We are branching also already in Bacolod. We have 500 of those activating. So we have a goal with them. So I think this one is already being partnered for their EPR program as well. From the actual exchanges, as you can see, we actually go there and look at the line. That is not line for the MRT. That is actually the line of the sari-sari stores, bringing their waste. And we are weighing it as post-consumer. So that is, I think, one of the key takeaways for EPR. It has to be recorded from the post-consumer level up to the recycling company. Okay. So environmental use case, as I mentioned, we partner with communities, stores, because without the stores, those are the incentives, no, that I want to use my 100 pesos for my next haircut, for example. So that is also one of the motivators of the program. And bills payment, yes. So soon we'll be back on Bayad, on the Bayad app. So you can use that to pay for your Meralco or Manila water. Okay, next. And key program takeaway is whatever we recover, we have to recycle. And this is where our partners are going. San Miguel Yamamura for glass, PR Go for paper, Sentinel, and a lot more who are accepting. So these are also a good highlight. This is also a good highlight for where our partner recycling companies need your support also so that they can continue accepting what we accept. So to round it up, thank you so much for the time and mabuhay po sa lahat. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mercado. I know that we're running a little late, so what we'll do is we'll try to wrap up as quickly as possible. There is still a message from Senator Legarda, as well as we can show the video presentation during our lunch program. And hopefully we can do the oath taking right after lunch, I think, Yusek de la Peña. But let me just wrap up before we close up today to emphasize a few of the themes that you've heard recurring among our different speakers. And we once again thank very much Mr. Shigeru, Mr. Adrian, of course, Mr. Vince Dizon, Mr. Bien Mateo, Engineer Jimmy Lu, Mr. Das Reyes, Ms. Nanette Medvedfo, our ladies from Makilala Mining, Engineer Jane Durana and Judy Roja, and of course, Mr. Mercado. New ways of work. This is the message for our World Environment Day. We need to be whole of society and whole of government in our efforts. And that should lead to what we are calling the need for coherence, convergence, and synergies. You've heard the words beyond compliance repeatedly today. And here's where the challenge is for all of us, the different sectors that we've invited, as well as those that we are still working on partnerships with. There is a lot of messaging here today across the different sectors for the circular economy and the solid waste management sector. We are here to actually support all initiatives, and we're grateful for the presenters who have actually addressed that. The forestry sector, mining, water, disaster management, flood management, and we've heard a lot from river basin work that is being done. Sustainable construction, how to build more with less and how to build better with less. And we've heard initiatives that cut across the different scales, whether you're at an urban scale, whether it's at the community scale, and whether it's at the barangay level. We do have our work cut out for us. We are just one big ecosystem. We cannot deny that everything is interdependent with each other. And therefore, on World Environment Day, we invite everyone to do their share and work with the department. And we at the department as well pledge our wholehearted support behind really implementing our mandate to preserve, protect, restore, and regenerate. So thank you very much. And I'll introduce Yusek Jonas Leones to deliver the message from Senator Legarda, who's been our champion all these years. Yusek Jonas.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Isang karangalan pong basahin ang mensahe ng ating kagalang-galang na Senador, Senator Lauren Legarda, the Senate President Pro Tempore, Senate of the Philippines. Isang mainit, mayabong at makalikasang pagbati sa lahat ng kawani ng tanging sangga ng ating bansa mula sa tuluyang pagkasira ng ating tahanan. Marami sa inyo ang nakaranas na ng pagkipagtalastasan sa akin dulot ng aking dekada ng kampanya para pangalagaan ang kalikasan sa iba't ibang larangan. Marami na rin tayong napag-usapan noong ako ay naging chair ng Finance Committee ng inyong Senado. Kaya naman malaki ang aking kagalakang makaharap ang pinaka-frontliner ng lahat ng aking mga batas. Sa loob ng nakaraang 3 termino, ang mga naipasang batas ay siyang tinatigan ng inyong mga gawain sa araw-araw, lalo na po ang ating Environmental Management Bureau. Pero tila baga, ang pinakamalaki palang sangay ng DNR kung ibabase sa bilang ng tao ay ang inyong land sector. Sa mga taga-lands dito, sa tingin ninyo ba ay may kinalaman ng inyong gawain sa kalikasan bukod sa malinaw na pagiging bahagi ng kalikasan ang lupa? Sa tingin ko ay malaki ang kinalaman ng ating land laws. Halimbawa, sa kung bakit naubos ang ating lowland pterocarp forest dahil ang patakaran ay ang mga kinatatayuan mismo ng mga ito ang maaaring hariin bilang pribado. Pero ganyan ang katangian ng ating mga pinag-aralan at trabaho. Hati-hati ang mga disiplina. Kung tingnan natin ang mga ganitong usapin ay parang walang kinalaman sa isa't isa. Pero hindi alam na ng lawaan at yakal na nandun siya sa agricultural land. Ang basura ay maaaring bumagsak sa protected area o sa bakuran. Kaya ang paanyaya ko sa inyong lahat, kung may pagkilala kayo sa mga hamon ng panahon ukol sa kalikasan, alamin ninyo ang ibang sektor sa inyong kagawaran. Maganda ring isipin ang katangian ng DNR bilang isang bureaucracy batay sa inyong demographics. Naisip ko ito dahil sa Senate ay inalis na ang aming daycare at breastfeeding room noong tumatanda na ang mga kawani at kaunti na lamang ang nasa childbearing age na bumaliktad na ulit kamakailan. Ang pagkakaintindi ko ay ang DNR noong nagka-rationalization ay hindi tumanggap ng bagong mga kawani ng 10 taon noong inyong rationalization at itong mga nakaraang taon ay unti-unting nagre-retire ang pinakahuli sa mga hires noong bago mag-rationalization. Kaya mga kabataan na ang nagiging hepe ng mga dibisyon. Isang magandang pagkakataon ito dahil maaaring mas malikot pa ang isip, mas interesado sa pagbabago at higit sa lahat, techie. Teknolohiya po ang makakatulong sa ating saklawin ang lawak ng ating mga gawain. Mahirap sigurong tumayo pero gusto ko kayong bigyan ng karanasan gaya ng mga kawani ng aking opisina. Habang nakatayo sila, gaya ng pagtayo ninyo kaninang umaga, ay tinatanong ko sila ng mga aspeto ng kabuuan ng aking mga advokasya. Kaya kahit wala ako diyan, gusto kong itanong ninyo sa inyong sarili, ano ang mga pangako natin sa Paris Agreement? Ano ang mga tinakda ng Sendai? Ano ang napagkasunduan ng mga bansa na nilalaman ng Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework? Kahit malamang marami sa inyo ang hindi bahagi ng trabaho ng mga kasunduang ito sa international arena, itong mga ito ang pinagkasunduan para isulong ang kalutasan sa ilan sa mga krisis ng kalikasan. Kung hindi po natin seryosohing intindihin, ay parang pwede nating parahin ang planeta para bumaba sa kanto. Panghuli, bagamat kalikasan po ang aking kampanya, gusto ko ring imbitahin kayo na alamin ang iba pang aspeto na magpapatagumpay ng ating mga adhikain para sa kalikasan. Kultura po at pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay ang nagtatakda kung susunod ang mga tao sa ugaling kinagisnan, sa ugaling mali, o sa ugaling batay sa pag-intindi ng kalagayan. Marugdog at luntiang pagbati sa bawat isang kawani ng kagawarang ito na kung hindi magtagumpay ay kalugmukan nating lahat. Dito po nagtatapos ang mensahe ng ating kagalang-galang na senador. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, Yusek Jonas. We'll briefly show a video presentation. This is the same edit same-day edit, because as early as 5:30 this morning, all the regions of DNR nationwide did their coastal cleanup, river cleanup, sterile cleanup, and tree planting. Please show the video. Thank you.
Today, especially in World Environment Day, to restore the balance. Please join us in our tree planting activity. This is just one part of our work this month, and this is also happening in other areas and regions in the country today, and will continue towards the end of this month. It is very important because the Philippines, as you know, is one of the most mega diverse countries in the world. We do have a very rich fauna, and therefore we are a wildlife trafficking center. We are a hotspot, and therefore we must make very, very good use of our protection and enforcement capabilities in order to stop the trade of illegal wildlife.
That was a good one. Okay, actually naka-zoom po yung mga colleagues natin sa DNR. I don't know if you can show some of them on the screen. So palakpakan ulit natin yung lahat ng Tagal regions for celebrating in a meaningful way the World Environment Day. And as the Secretary has mentioned, we have a month-long program to celebrate as well the World Oceans Day, Arbor Day, and some other related activities as we prepare for the celebration of the Resilience Month in July. That's next month. At this point, why don't we give a big hand to our speakers? of course, led by the Secretary of DNR. Maybe we'll have a quick photo opportunity. They can just stay seated. And to our photographers, if we can just have a picture taken among all of the speakers, please. And after this, we'll have a media briefing. And while we're doing that, maybe we can serve lunch as a hero. May we request the undersecretaries to please join the photo opportunity on stage.
Very much, everyone. So maybe invite some of our speakers, the secretary, possibly some of our users to join them in the group.
Before our guests leave, may we request the assistant secretaries and the directors together with the undersecretaries to please join. My special request for another photo opportunity with the speakers. USEX, ASEX directors, please come over with the speakers. We invite our speakers to remain on stage to be joined by the USEX, ASEX directors. Aking mga Reds, please join us, USEX.
Down for the briefing. So it will just be a short briefing, like 10 to 15 minutes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining us at the DNR celebration of World Environment Day. So for today's media briefing, allow me to begin by recognizing our colleagues from the media present today. We have ABS-CBN TV and ABS-CBN Digital, GMA and GMA Integrated News, SMNI News Team, PTV4, TV5, UNTV, CNN Philippines, Net25, Rappler, Philippine Daily Inquirer, Business World, Philippine Star and PhilStar.com, Daily Tribune, Manila Bulletin, Manila Times, Manila Standard, Malaya Business Insight, Saksi Ngayon, Bulgar, Filipino Mirror, People's Tonight, DZRJ, DWIZ, DZBB, DZBB, Village Connect, Journal Group, Chinese Journal, and World News. So we're very fortunate to have with us today the leaders of some of DNR strategic partners, and they'll be joining us during the short media briefing. Earlier, we heard some of the new ways of working together between government and non-government sectors, primarily from the private sector, as well as their own initiatives that enable the DNR to scale up our work and do it more efficiently and effectively. So today's 15 to 20-minute media briefing is an opportunity for us to learn more about these positive partnerships and for our speakers to possibly expound on our joint programs and projects. So invite everyone to please ask whatever questions you may have for our distinguished guests. And we kindly request that our conversation today be constructive and that questions will focus only on the initiatives and partnerships illustrated today. So for everyone who wants to ask their questions, please state your name and organization before doing so. Thank you very much. So we have mics on the left and right side. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Secretary. Good morning, Secretary and guests. Belia Callaso from the Philippine Star. Ma'am, we are just curious kung ano yung exact data natin on plastic generation dito sa Pilipinas at kung are we really winning the war against single-use plastic?
Thank you very much, Belia. Let me just start out by saying that we are not winning the war, definitely, against single-use plastic. I'll turn over to Yusek Jonas for a while on the exact figure of our actual use of plastics and what we are in fact measuring. But let me tell you this, the single-use plastics issue is not a single dimensional. It has a social issue attached. And if we cannot address the social issue, we will not be able to address the use of single-use plastics. Specifically, for certain sectors of our economy, single-use plastic is the only recourse for their use on a daily basis, whether it is to purchase their daily food or for other uses that they need in order to actually go through their day-to-day activities. So there's a very huge social dimension which needs to be addressed, and there must be a replacement for single-use plastics. If we cannot replace single-use plastics, we will not be able to actually address this problem. I'm going to call Yusek Jonas Leones here to actually expound on the volume of our waste on a daily basis. Yusek Jonas.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Hello. Hello. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Based on the EFB figures from 2016, ang ating waste generation per day is only 16,000 metric tons. But as of now, it has increased to 60,000 metric tons per day. Ang solid waste natin, 30 to 40% of that is plastic.
Kumusta ma'am yung compliance ng ating mga company sa ating DENR?
So far, we have counted about 4,000 of live enterprises. Unfortunately, we only have had around 600 that have actually registered. Some of those 600 have fully complied with what is required for the registration. The rest are still in the process. So we will be jump-starting a communications program and education program for the EPR law. In fact, this month in June, in order for us to begin to meet our targets. Strategically, we will of course focus on the large generators, and those would be the fast-moving consumer goods corporations. Some of them are global, and so those ones would actually be the strategic priorities for this program. However, everyone that is involved in generating the packaging that we are looking at, it is called upon to actually comply and register. And that will be the actual big push that we will have this June and July in order for us to reach at least 1,000 obliged enterprises this year.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Morning, Secretary. Yes, I'm Bitsuin Tapak 25. Ma'am, based on the record, one of the biggest environmental problem in our country is the marine or water pollution. Ma'am, can you give us an update regarding the oil spill in Mindoro?
Thank you very much for the question. Sa kaalaman niyo po, the DNR is really at the forefront of the nearshore and onshore impact of the oil spill. Kami po I would say first on the scene po kami. The first ones in March 1, we were there actually talking already with the governor, talking with the Coast Guard. At saka we were able to bring our marine scientists by March 3 to the site. Ang nakahanap po ng barko ay ang DNR ng MRIA. No? This is very important because we needed to project kung saan po tatagas, kung saan po papunta ang oil na nanggaling po sa barkong ito. As of the moment, there are ongoing operations. The spill is still ongoing. And so as far as our latest information, the private contractors of the ship owners were working on capping the last remaining leaks doon po sa vessel na yon. So they had to bring in a specialized ROV to actually take over from the work that was done by the partners from Japan and the US na talaga pong significantly na-decrease po yung leakage because they were able to cap this. So ongoing pa rin yung hazard management on the site. In terms of our own works at DNR, we have been able to actually already inform the local government certain areas as far as our own water sampling and air sampling is concerned. Medyo maayos-ayos na po. Ang declaration for recreation and swimming and other uses including fisheries, nanggagaling po yan sa DOH at sa BIFAR. Sa amin po, all the data that we have retrieved from all the stations we deployed, kasi po hindi normal yung sitwasyon, we actually deployed more stations. All that data goes into the local government and goes into the BIFAR and DOH in their assessment. So sa ngayon po, ongoing pa rin ang oil spill.
On this point, ma'am, so as of now, the problem is not yet under control.
I would say it has been significantly controlled from the day that it happened. I think the biggest realization here is from the date of release of some substance like oil, that oil will travel kung saan po the wind and the current will take it. So over the course of time, there is a portion of the oil that will evaporate. There is a portion that will not. So ayun po ang what we are trying to keep track of so that in fact we can anticipate how to protect our ecosystems, our reefs, our seagrasses, our mangroves. Significantly po in terms of volume, under control na po siya.
Thank you very much, Secretary.
Thank you.
Secretary, good morning po. Sheena from SMNI. Ma'am, follow up ko lang yung question regarding po sa magkano na po yung halaga ng pinsala po? And if you can quantify po ilang percent na yung na-rehabilitate. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you po. And so we have actually testified on the Congress, no? The exposure possibility. Kasi po, hindi pa tapos ang hazard. So the exposure possibility is around 7 billion pesos in terms of our coral reefs, mangroves, seagrass. What we need to do now, when the hazard is finally over, no, is we need to go down. We need to actually see and measure the physical impact of the oil spill on these different ecosystems. The universe is 7 billion. We don't expect na totally ma-affect yung 7 billion na yun. But we expect that there will be some significant areas in certain municipalities na talaga pong na-affect. I'll just cite one area and that will be Antique, no? Kaluya, for example, apart from Pola and Nauhan, Antique also receives significant volumes of oil. And the spillage there is quite significant and may in fact be long-term in terms of the remediation. So in terms of estimating the value exactly or even within a range, kailangan po buwaba ang DNR on all of these sites, including the underwater sites, in order for us to verify. But the universe, as I said, could be exposure of about 7 billion.
Good morning, ma'am. Rafael Bosano po from ABS-CBN. Since all of the efforts naman are being done to mitigate climate change, I just want to ask, ma'am, can you reiterate how vulnerable the Philippines is to the climate impacts? And while the Philippines is affected as a whole, sino-sino po ba yung mga populations na pinaka at great risk dito sa climate change?
So in terms of climate change, no, but there are two types of hazards that we need to really be looking at, and that would be the rapid onset. So ito yung basically what we refer to all the time, which are our tropical cyclones, our extreme rainfall, the parang buhos, no? These are the rapid onset. Then there is the slow onset, and that means these are the creeping changes in temperature levels, for example, in the annual volume of rainfall na pumapatak at bumaba po dito sa atin. The creeping changes, okay, we still don't have a very clear idea of what the loss and damage from slow onset disasters have been to the country. And this is where our work in the climate change negotiations gets more complicated. Right now, we are one of the leading countries that is advocating for relief from developed countries for the loss and damage due to climate change. Ang mga estimates po natin sa Pilipinas are basically from the rapid onset disaster. And so that means wherever there is a huge tropical cyclone or where there's extreme rainfall, that it's not even a cyclone, but just a storm or buhos na malakas, enhanced southwest monsoon, for example, those are what we can count and what we have been counting in terms of value. Now, who is exposed? Every sector that is using water and whose processes are dependent on temperature, these are the most exposed, most vulnerable. Those that are located in degraded habitats, those in the low elevation coastal zones, those who are dependent on ecosystem services that do not come from their own political and administrative areas. An illustration, Metro Manila po is reliant on Angat for its water source. So whatever happens, temperature and rainfall wise to Angat, apektado po ang buong Metro Manila, even though, say, Taguig is not part of the LGU. So what we actually have to realize is that our physical, social, okay, and environmental conditions that make our areas more vulnerable than the rest. Now, in terms of El Nino, and I know this is the concern of everyone, El Nino is supposed to be a mild El Nino. Ito po yung sinabi ng pag-asa. If the rainfall of this year continues to be as it is, as expected, the impact of El Nino may be felt only early next year. The problema po ng Metro Manila in terms of water, problem of infrastructure and supply and distribution. Hindi po siya related at this point to El Nino. Just to clarify that, marami po nagsasabi na El Nino ang nagkukos ng shortage ng tubig sa Metro Manila. Hindi po El Nino. It's a problem of management. And that has to do with our arrangements with the private sector concessionaires, as well as the infrastructure na medyo matanda na that needs to be actually rehabilitated immediately.
Last point, ma'am. Na-mention niyo po na yung different sectors that will be or are most vulnerable to climate change. Kumusta po yung assessment ng department in terms of the knowledge on climate impacts? Yung mga tao po sa ground, they are fully aware of how they can mitigate or how they can do their part to actually slow down the rate of climate change.
Thank you. It's a continuing campaign of education and information. Hindi po nagtatapos sa isang kampanya. We really need to continue deepening our knowledge, especially in our school. No? We need to build into the basic education system an understanding of what happens in terms of the hydrological cycle of our world. No? We need to build an understanding of what activities are actually disrupting this cycle in order for us to understand how we on our own individually as well as collectively can address the impact so that they would actually be reduced or they can be avoided altogether. So education needs to start, and I'll say this here, at the basic education level. It must continue on a daily basis with the support of the local government units, kasi the important thing here with the LGUs, dapat si Mayor alamin niya, dapat si Mayor akuin niya, at dapat si Mayor ang gagawa in terms of the different mitigation and adaptation needs for climate change. We have examples for that. Mayor Lucy Torres Gomez has been working on her biodiversity inventory, her greenhouse gas inventory, her adaptation plan, her disaster risk reduction plan, all in an integrated way. There are leaders locally that are championing this kind of integrated approach. At kailangan po akuin ni Mayor, akuin ni Governor na ito yung problema niya, hindi ang problema ng komunidad. Our local government chief executives need to own this problem in order for it to be solved. Thank you po.
So thank you very much. We have time for one more question.
Good morning po. Gaya Kabiko from Philstar.com. So environment groups are still calling on
for a moratorium on existing and planned reclamation projects. So what is DNR's comment on this, and how does the department balance the need to protect coastal and marine ecosystems and the communities that depend on them with the need to increase the area of usable land? Thank you po.
Thank you. Just to clarify, there is a moratorium on reclamation. So that is in place. No,
On all daw po, across the, all existing and planned reclamation across the archipelago.
you know, let me just say this, no, whatever had been legally permitted previously needs to be respected. This is a society of law. We cannot basically say just because we have certain sectors that are unhappy with certain activities, we then will declare them illegal and cancel them. Let me just be clear about that. However, it is clear from the last administration that certain effects were anticipated, okay, because of what had been permitted previously, that there was enough political will to declare a moratorium. That moratorium stands. Today, what we are doing at the DNR is we are reviewing, in fact, what had already been permitted. And we're trying to understand how the lessons learned from this activity can actually inform actions and policies moving forward. As you may know, there have been discussions and focus group consultations on reclamation. Just to reiterate what has been said previously in this forum, we are reviewing all that have been permitted. The focus of many of these groups, of course, is the Manila Bay area, and that continues to be reviewed by the DENR. And let me share this with you. What is important for us is we're able to understand the cumulative impact of all these projects. They were individually assessed, and the overall impact on Manila Bay as an ecosystem was not done. Therefore, this is the basis for us to move forward in terms of trying to determine whether or not we may be looking into possible suggested changes or proposed changes to the way that we have permitted different projects. So that's my response to your question. Thank you.
I think we have one question from wholesale, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much to our speakers and the Secretary Loizaga. So that wraps up our media briefing for today.
This World Environment Day, naglabas po yung masuni ng open letter urging President Marcos na protektahan yung Masuni Geopark project. Do we have a timeline po of the impending cancellation of the contract, and what happens po if makancel yung contract? Sino po yung magta-take over ng rehabilitation of the 2,700 hectares sa Upper Meridian Boundary? Thank you.
Thanks very much for that question. We have not spoken about a cancellation of the contract. We are reviewing it to take the appropriate action. Let me just say this, and I've said it before. There is no doubt that there has been good work done by this group. However, there are certain features of this agreement that really bring it into question. And because of those features, we will need to take the appropriate action. In terms of your inquiry about what happens in this area, we in the DNR have a project called Transform. And Transform calls for multi-stakeholder involvement in climate change adaptation, disaster resilience, and environmental protection. This is the model that we will be using. It will involve all the LGUs, the key academic institutions in the area, the different private and public stakeholders, including other departments of government. This will be a whole of government and a whole of society effort, and not just the effort of one single foundation or entity, because in fact, we all are part of this environment and not just that one foundation. Thanks.
Ma'am. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining the DNR's Environmental Day celebration. We'll be serving lunch shortly.
Thank you.